Hey everyone, been a bit, hasn't it? For those who have forgotten, welcome to the 14th edition of my never-ending rapid-fire Warframe trivia series. Minor spoilers ahead up through Jade Shadows, but beyond that, let's rock. The atomicycle that you load into missions with in Hulvania is uniquely able to bullet jump really high. Getting on and off the initial atomicycle doesn't get rid of this effect, but destroying it and or summoning a new one doesn't allow you to bullet jump this high anymore. Leaving and re-entering the Laverian with a hobbled dragon key equipped will stack the slow effect infinitely, which applies in both the Orbiter and the Laverian itself. This can be cleared by simply entering and exiting the arsenal. If the Stalker appears in a mission and a Jade is present in the squad, he won't attack, instead dropping his items and leaving. Necromites can be affected by lots of weird stuff that shouldn't have any effect, like Hydroid's passive, and they can build Incarnon charge for direct hit Incarnons like Angstrom and Torrid. Targets caught in Zaku's gaze can be moved around by Yoreli's Riptide. In rescue missions on the Corpus ship tileset, you can use this vent in the floor to skip the friendship door. Because wardens only spawn when this door is opened, this also prevents them from spawning. In Ascension, ionic charges that are thrown at shadow nullifiers will bounce off of their bubble and deal a small amount of damage to it. Little Duck tracks the Warframe with her look, even though she can only be interacted with when in the Operator or Drifter forms. Empty Iotans move and show stars in their decoration preview before being placed. Scavenge can open lockers in simulacrum scenes like the Grineer asteroid base, though you don't get to keep the rewards. Summons from Warframes, like Caliban's Lethal Progeny, will remain after Transference Surge has ended in Duviri, allowing them to lend a hand for extended periods of time. The Dex Furus only actually reloads one magazine. Blitz Eximus variants of the Arcocanid use the Arson Eximus Fire Blast instead of the regular Blitz Blast. Remember when these guys were supposed to be Grineer exclusive? The special ramparts used to stun the Thumper and Junkrun use a Harpack as their barrel. If Barrow brings Viso's Noggle, his tablet will show transmissions from Barrow in the preview. Killing a Thrax Ghost while in Last Gasp will instantly revive you like Eximus units do. All rare Impact set mods have Rhino on them. All rare Slash mods have Valkyr, and all rare Puncture mods have Nyx, except Sundering Strike, which is Ash instead. Branching off of this, Elemental 60/60 mods are similar, with Electric mods showing Excalibur, Toxin mods showing Oberon, and Heat mods showing Mirage, but Cold mods showing Banshee, Inaros, Hydroid, and Ember. Bullet jump damage and slide kick damage can grant Overguard if you have a secondary with Fortifier equipped. Spectres deployed on conveyor belts will try to walk to their original spawn location. Sevagoth's Shadow can only be seen at the spawn of any Captura scene when viewed in the arsenal. In this void elevator room, there is a secret room behind a vent that is all the way up near the ceiling. You can't actually purchase an upgrade for a Focus School if you have the exact amount of focus points, instead needing slightly more than what's required. Certain parts of the floor in the Sanctum Anatomica can be clipped through from below. Jade can play emotes during her 4. Jade Light Eximus beams can be destroyed by shooting the orb that they spawn from. Scythe Zaws in the arsenal are held with a different grip than regular scythes. Decompression damage from Eris goes through invincibility sources like Overguard. Wisp can give motes to hijack objectives even through Swordy Nullifier bubbles, though sadly Haste doesn't speed up the mission at all. The Grimoire decoration copies your first cosmetic slot colors on your actual Grimoire, but it only updates when reloading the Orbiter. The Incarnate Gammacore's pull effect works regardless of an enemy's rift status. The cylinders on the Hecaton shotgun skin retract as the weapon is being fired to show your magazine emptying. This doesn't work on beam shotguns like Convectrix though. In the Freightlinker and Ice Mine Railjack objectives, there are holes in the area that allow you to jump out into space and enter Arcwing immediately. Buying an item from Ortis in the Drifter camp can cause Stalker to appear in the background. Bro, you brought your kid here? The Frost in the modding tutorial screen will change his energy color to match the energy color of your currently equipped Warframe. Throwing a fishing bait is considered loud and breaks Prowl's stealth. Riven Dissolution uses a whack-ass formula to determine the amount of endo it gives you, which I'll go ahead and show on screen now. The Kuva Injector defense objective on the Kuva Fortress can be given Overguard. The AX-52 has a spray pattern similar to the AK-47 from Counter-Strike. It's not exactly the same, but the reference is certainly there. Mirage's Immortal skin uses her ability screen preview, unlike other Immortal skins which show the frame in a neutral state. If you cancel the animation for throwing Bastille with a roll after the Bastille has already been thrown, you'll keep playing the animation, which can be looped by rolling repeatedly. Abilities that affect textures, like Iron Skin and Garuda's passive, can also affect Arcwings. Relay statues from Blessings will always use a Void Shell skin's default materials. Drifter animation sets actually do affect your amp, but only in Captura. I wonder if this is intentional or a bug, honestly. This is less weird and obscure and more just fun trivia, but Mirage's Eclipse ability has visual effects that correspond to the showbiz idiom of smoke and mirrors. The lunar version makes her hazy and has smoke effects emitting from it, being the smoke, and the solar version makes her shiny and reflective, being the mirrors. Magus lockdown mines spawn where your void sling indicator ends, not where you actually end up, which can lead to some inconsistencies. You can't unequip mods with a right click if you have no room left in the mod tray. Punch through doesn't work on Lancer shields, meaning somehow your guns can shoot through multiple meters of solid rock and titanium, but not 4 inches of whatever crazy shit this thing is made of. Damage caused by blast procs detonating can charge the turret and angstrom incarnates. Various panels around the landing craft can be rendered on top of emblems, which is honestly kinda hard to look at. Jade Light Infested are the only Eximus type to not use an Infested exclusive naming scheme. For those who don't know, infested Eximus units normally have different names than their non-infested counterparts. I'll put a list on screen now of what all of those are if you're curious. If Gendro copies Limbo in the index, he can use Limbo's dodge and put himself in the rift, which can also freeze him if Limbo has stasis active. Behind Teshin in the relays, you can find this feather that contains a lot of interesting lore from the perspective of Jade. If you were, like me, left wanting after Jade Shadows, I highly recommend this lore fragment. It adds a lot of valuable context to the quest. In Pluto Railjack missions, you can find these wormholes that teleport you between them when entered. Not super helpful, but they're kinda cool. The name of the dual Decurion is singular, while Prisma dual Decurions are plural. Unlike normal augments, Arcwing augments do not show their effects when hovering over an ability. The Arcwing Arsenal Room actually has no gravity, as can be seen with cloth effects. Piranha Prime's gimmick of duplicating itself normally shows a phantasmal piranha, but if a skin is equipped on the weapon, then the copy will look completely normal with no ghostly effects. Inaros' Swarm Kavats actually copy his colors, but this can't be seen under the sand effect normally. I found that interacting with consoles in the simulacrum sometimes dispels this effect though, allowing you to see the change. The gold accents on the Narmer Gracata are also not present on the Narmer Hellions weapons. You can void sling straight up in the chamber of the Lotus Captura scene, allowing you to escape it. Duviri music chests count for Nightwave hacking challenges. The Xylock Incarnate looks wildly different in its circuit preview compared to its actual in-game look. Cindo Prime is noticeably smaller than Cindo, even if they both have the same skin equipped. The helmet Chroma uses while Effigy is active is determined by his skin, not his actual helmet. The zones spawned by residual boils and shock are not affected by any mods placed on the kit gun itself, but Viremia and Malador zones do scale in damage with certain mods on the kit gun. Even stranger, Malador zones have a status chance and can inflict status effects based on the mods on the kit gun, even making combo elements with Malador's own cold damage. Hitting a Conculus with Caliban's Fusion Strike has a small chance to empower them, granting them access to the Battlist Disco attack. Flawed Intruder is the only Parazon mod to be upgradable with Endo, because the original Intruder was actually a Warframe mod. All post-Whispers in the Walls frames have unique stances for holding tomes in their animation sets. Those frames in particular are Dante, obviously, Jade, Kome, and Cyto 9, with Corvex and Dagoth having them too. Temple isn't out yet, but I don't doubt they'll have them as well. Thrax Ghosts take much more damage if they are in the process of possessing an enemy. The accent channel on Excalibur's helmet and body use different materials, with the body being matte and the helmet being metallic. Adhesive blast grenades stuck to an enemy will detonate if that enemy falls over, but only if the grenades are produced by multi-shot. Adhesive blast grenades can also be stuck to Atlas walls, and while it's kinda finicky, they can detonate while the wall is rolling, which is easiest to do with Penta as its grenades are set off manually. You can crouch during Vile Rush, which lets you displace your collision box to squeeze through areas you look like you wouldn't be able to fit through. If a Gruzling hasn't been alerted, you can just walk up and take their conduit key with no resistance. Sevagoth Prime's shoulders have big gold spikes on them that have blatant clipping issues. This is honestly just in the video because it drives me insane. Nyx's animation set previews use her Menticide helmet instead of her default helmet. Using an emote while in the Operator's Void mode can resist the Jackal's Landing Slam knockback. The orb in Caliban's chest doesn't appear when you're in the star chart. The destroyed Leonov and Kuiper relays can be seen in the Railjack star chart despite Europa and Eris not being present on it. Items like Iatan stars can be picked up while wall latching. Gauss's Agido skin doesn't handle the color black very well, as the vast majority of blacks appear instead as gray. Only a few specific blacks actually show up correctly, and the difference between them and all other blacks is really stark. You can see the stars through this shadow on Eris's moon Dysnomia, despite the fact that the moon itself should still be covering them up. I know this entry is stupid, but it bothers me, dude, it really does. You can find cardboard cutouts of Gordon Freeman by this first floor stairwell and in the second floor Cyber Cafe in Holvania Central Mall. Speaking of the Cyber Cafe, you can also find this computer that triggers the credits and is dedicated to Minky, Warframe's first art director. For those who don't know, Minky tragically passed away from cancer late last year. He is the reason Warframe has its iconic art style, and this computer shows several of his original concept sketches. I'll leave a link to DE's own tribute to Minky in the description if you want a better idea of his impact on the game, but it is impossible to overstate how important he was to Warframe and everyone who's ever worked on or played it. My heart goes out to Minky's family and everyone at DE and beyond who has felt the loss of such an incredible and important person. Alright, that's it for today's episode. Sorry to end on such a sad entry, but I didn't feel like it felt tonally right to include it in the middle of everything else, considering that it's so serious. Real quick, I want to thank everyone who submitted contributions, footage, and screen caps for this episode, as well as all of my channel members for making this content possible. I also, of course, want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I still have months worth of entries to go through in the Weird and Obscure Discord channel, so don't worry. Unlike last time, I'll be seeing you all again very soon.